Hey everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Is this a Scorsese film? No, not at all. This is my Ship It truck that I modeled and that I drew the concept art for. I recorded just about everything, probably 95% of what I did. From my mistakes to having to do the body of the truck over because Maya glitched out on me, to finishing the bumper right before I rendered this. This is a really long video, so grab a snack and enjoy my process here. As you can see on the screen there, that's my concept art. I spent about 10 to 15 minutes on it because I wanted to see what I could come up with in such a short matter of time. I wanted to model this. This was going to be a 3D piece, not a concept art piece. The first lot of this video is me blocking out the truck, and I'm using not only my concept art, but UPS delivery trucks mostly, and some other artists who did stylized trucks or vehicles. In my original concept, I gave the hood of the truck a hood scoop and vents. I wanted to make the vehicle look like a street racing car, kind of like those Subaru WRX models. However, this changed after playing around with the look of the vehicle after a while, and as art always does change. I kept the vents though. I thought that they looked pretty cool on the truck, and I'd never really seen a delivery truck with vents on the hood before, so I thought that was pretty cool looking. The grill of the truck changed a few times. With the help of my friends, though, I ended up finding a style that suited the truck for the final look. Here I was trying to figure out what to do with the wheels. There seemed to just be so many options when I looked up reference images, but at the end of the day, the best look for this was similar to an old-fashioned wheel and tire with the white wall on the outside. This was a really finicky part. I was trying to figure out what to do with the side handle. Wasn't sure how thick or thin to make it, or if I should make it curvy or more squared off. But after a few revisions, I ended up figuring out the look that I wanted. In this area, I was testing out different styles of extrusions for the side of the truck, just to give it a bit more oomph and character. Again, I drew a really vague concept, so I could make these side bits any shape that I wanted as long as it was extruded out. The top of the truck had a pile of boxes on top of it. I wanted to make it look stylized and cartoony, so I kept it simple. I made 3 different sized boxes: small, medium, and large. I wasn't sure if I was gonna surface this in Substance Painter or keep it all in Maya, so I gave myself 3 easy options so I wouldn't be sifting through a bunch of different sized boxes and cursing myself down the line. Here I was experimenting with the hood vents. I wasn't sure if this was going to be a normal map or geometry or something different. One thing I realized though with the booleaned vents is that it would have been really messy geometry, and that would have been a hassle for me down the line. One thing that's great about modeling vehicles is that 99% of the time they're symmetrical, so you really only need to model half of it and then mirror it over when you're done. But when you do this, you need to make sure that your topology is good, because if it's yucky on one side, then it's going to be yucky on the other side. So keep that topology squeaky clean. At this point, I wanted to take the time to thank Stefan Hutchinson for the inspiration to make this video. He recently made a hover car video where he screen recorded his process and got in front of the camera and explained his thought process, which I thought was absolutely rad. It gave a lot of personality to the model, and you can really see who the artist is behind the art, which I find really helpful nowadays. I'll leave a link in the description to his channel so you can watch his process too. Thanks again, Stefan. Because I had used booleans, I needed to fix the topology around the model in certain areas. Here, I ended up using the snippet tool and drew lines over the screenshot so I could see what it would look like without touching the model. Sometimes it doesn't translate well onto the model, or you end up getting a try or an end gone, but that's okay. You just gotta try again. Or you use the remesh or retopo button Maya has if all else fails. This is me trying to apply topology without a draw over. I find this is sometimes a bit more complicated, and you just seem to always be control Zetting your way back. I'd say always have the snipping tool or some sort of lightweight sketch program on hand, just so you can always do a draw over. Here I was, making great progress. The topology for the body of the car was looking great. I was making great progress and was feeling good about modeling a vehicle for the first time in a few years. But of course, things can't go easy. And the next day, when I went to work on this project, the truck's body absolutely crashed, and I had to redo it. I tried to figure out what caused it. I think it might have been not deleting the history, but I didn't want to spend too much time on figuring out why it didn't work. So I redid it, this time a little bit faster, and I think the topology turned out better than last time. Maybe it was a blessing in disguise. I did end up using some retopology tools to quicken the process. However, these aren't perfect, and you will need some knowledge on how to make the topology squeaky clean. Another tip I wanted to give is that I always duplicate before initiating a big fix. This is so that if something doesn't work, I can always revert back to the original state, kind of like having a base sketch when you're drawing. As you can see, I separated this vehicle into 3 parts: the body, the front of the car, and the hood of the car, so that it was easier to deal with the modeling. It's easier to work on the topology and then merge them and make it flow throughout the whole model rather than focusing on it as a whole. Everyone is different, but this is just what works for me. Bite-sized pieces is the way to go. Here I am reinforcing the door opening of the truck. I wasn't sure if this would be an outside exclusive only model or if maybe the side door of the truck would be open, but I figured it's good to have good topology even in places where you can't really see it. Merging the 2 pieces of geometry was a pain. I had to snap the vertices together and use soft select to get a cleaner merge so everything looked straight. I ended up Googling how I could achieve this. It seemed like merging it all and then straightening the flow of the edges / surrounding areas would give you your best results. It was very finicky, but I was happy with the results in the end. Here I was working on the fender flares, which I ended up changing a few times. I couldn't really pick a style. I got this idea from the Dodge Ram 1500. Some of them have these black fender flares at the sides of the vehicle, and it looks like it's screwed in. I always thought it looked pretty cool. And some street racer cars have them as well, but I see them a bit more on trucks. I wanted this truck to just pop a little bit more so it didn't just look like a box on cylinders, so that's why I added in the fender flares. This is just me experimenting with the way the hood would look. I had originally drawn a hood scoop, but ended up changing that out. I couldn't get it looking right. Even though I didn't keep this bit of the model, I think it's good to experiment with the different styles to see how things look. If all else fails, you can just change it. This bumper, as simple as it is, gave me a hard time. I felt like it gave a lot of a look to the truck. I kept it the same until the end when I decided to change it and make it less bubbly. This grill was also another pain. I couldn't decide if I wanted a minimalist look or something a bit more complex. With the help of my friends, though, I ended up being able to find a more semi realistic style that you will see a little bit down the line. I am finessing the hood, trying to figure out what looks best. I ended up going with a small lip at the side so that the hood could sit nicely on top. I left the option open in case I wanted to put an engine or something in the bay for future purposes. I ended up doing a draw over. The base body of the truck seemed off and needed a revision after all that blocking. I couldn't get the width of the window frame looking right. Did I want it super thin looking or thicker looking to make it more stylized? I chose the more stylized version because that was the overall look I was going for. Art is sometimes hard because there's a million different ways to do things, and sometimes you go back and redo it a handful of times just to make it look good. It's really finicky. This was me adjusting the roof to give it more height because it looked really low and unrealistic for this type of vehicle. Manually adjusting the roof didn't seem to work as well as I wanted it to, so I deleted it and moved the edges up to get more of the desired height that I wanted. It's kind of a lot of repetitive behavior here, but I'm just making the topology look nice, as I've mentioned before a few times. It is important, it is tedious as well, but it's worth it in the end. Not only does it make your model look good, it makes it render clean. It also makes it easier for the departments after you, like surfacing and rigging, to be able to do their job properly. While fixing the front of the car and trying to get good topology, Maya crashed. Thankfully, I save a lot and I have autosave. You can never have enough reference, so here I was looking at exhaust systems for cars. I was thinking of doing a quad exhaust system just to give it a more sporty look. But then I decided on a dual exhaust system on the back of the car because it looked so symmetrical. I didn't want the car to look too repetitive even from the back. Even though I opted out of using Substance Painter for surfacing the vehicle, at this point in the process, I had no idea what I wanted to do with texturing or if I even wanted to surface. However, I gave myself the option just in case. It's good to unwrap as you go so that if you do decide to surface your model, you won't be spending a day in itself unwrapping. You'll be able to jump right into Substance Painter and make your model come to life. I redid these wheels 3 or 4 times. I couldn't get them looking right. I also wasn't sure what type of tire tread I wanted either. If I had kept the tires smoothed with the zigzag pattern treads, it wouldn't have looked good without reinforcement. So I opted for the straight line treads, which gave the tires and vehicle an old-fashioned look. Don't be scared to redo something if it doesn't look right, or make a mental note of what needs to change and come back to it. This was the first render I have of the model using Arnold. I wanted to see what it was looking like with a light. It also helps to do a quick render just to see if there are any imperfections in your work that you can't physically see. Around this point is where I asked some of my friends about the grille of the vehicle. I couldn't figure out a look. With their help, I came to a decision. It's good to get your friends' feedback on your work. If they're a good friend or colleague, then they're there to help you. Finally came one of my favorite parts. I got to mirror my model to see how she looked as a whole. This is always one of my favorite parts because it looks almost complete. I removed the part where I unwrapped the half of the vehicle, but if you do decide to model half of your model first, make sure to unwrap it before you mirror it. It makes your life easy. This little corner was a challenge for me. I couldn't find a way to quad it off properly. I ended up using Maya's tries option and then Z-remeshed it. It has to be the only tries in the whole scene. Usually I try to avoid them, but in some cases they're inevitable. This is where I made the final wheel revision after all this time, and am glad I went with the old-fashioned look rather than the zigzag tread. I know this is just a box, but I wanted to make it look like it had character to it. If it was just a plain Jane cube, it would have looked boring, and I felt like it wouldn't have told a story. Whereas if it had some dents and wonkiness to the box, it made the story a bit more humorous to me. I can imagine the driver throwing some packages up top on his truck because the trunk is filled and he's rushing around town trying to deliver them. At this point, I knew I was missing a little something. How would the passenger get in the vehicle? A step up for the truck. Also, most trucks have a little step to assist the driver or passenger in the vehicle, so I figured there would be no harm in adding one here. Here I am starting to set up a ramped plane for lighting. I unfortunately didn't record all of this, but the basis of my lighting method is 3-point lighting. That's when you have a key light, a backlight, and a fill light for your subject. I find it works really well with props. What you're seeing right now is me adding Arnold materials to the model. Like I said, I didn't bring this into Substance Painter and surface it, but because I had unwrapped everything, I did have the option to if I wanted to. I wanted to see how far I could push myself with using one program for everything. Making the materials, all I did was start off with the AI standard surface and just play around with the different parameters. Color, roughness, metalness, opacity, etc. With no time, my truck started to come to life. This is where I decided to add the tire white walls. It really made the design pop more than I'd anticipated. I'm really glad that I decided to go with this look. For the logos and text, I just used a font I liked in a photo program and turned them into alpha maps for Maya. To give it a bit of depth, I did make normal maps for the license plates. To make the model look less empty and give it more of a look, I ended up placing these bolts around the vehicle. It made my vehicle look less plain. So I was just about done with this project, and the bumper kind of was an eyesore to me. I ended up redoing it. I remember driving around town while I was working on this project, and I kept seeing UPS and delivery trucks on the road. I started to hyperanalyze them and see what my truck needed that it didn't already have. The bumper was definitely something that I needed to change. It just looked too bubbly for my liking. I wanted to add a little bit extra to the model, as I seem to always want to do, so I decided to add a racing stripe. I think once I added the base blue color to the vehicle, I ended up wanting the stripes. I had never seen a delivery truck with racing stripes. Thought it'd be a fun concept. This is where I did the side logo. I just used a plane and an alpha map. I created the design in a photo program and applied it in Maya. It turned out better than expected. All I really had to do was adjust the plane UV maps so that the logo sat nicely on the plane and gave the illusion that it was on the vehicle. And that about wraps up this video. If you stuck around till the end, thank you so much. You are a trooper. I am glad I could share my art in these hard times so people can see my thought process and work. A special shout out to Stevan, who helped inspire me to showcase my work in a video form, as well as my friends and colleagues who helped me push through on this project and gave me any feedback. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, and please keep an eye out for any other 3D art I produce. Cheers. Let's try to get this right. Okay.